Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Siobhan Parad here, host of the Made Marriage Show. I am so excited to be back with you. It has been a minute or two or three since we have done an episode. We were on a little bit of a hiatus trying to pull a scandal on you because I remember I don't really watch Scandal anymore, but when I did, I remembered it would have these breaks, and you're like, where are the episodes? And you're like hanging on by the seat of your pants waiting for a new episode. So I hope that you all have been sort of feeling the same way with us here on the Made Marriage Show. So we're back, season 2. Super excited to kick off this season. We are doing things a little bit differently. Amazing women, of course, still. But I've switched up some of the questions, so you guys be sure to let me know what you think of some of the new questions and new framing of this conversation, and I will be excited to receive your feedback and incorporate it. So Sharnetta, hello. I'm so glad you're here watching us live. If you're watching us, just say hello to us. Let us know who you are, because on this platform, I can't actually see who's watching until you like make yourself known. So feel free to just pop in, say hi, let us know that you're here. Okay. So we're kicking it off. So I have to look at my script now because I have like a slightly new intro and I want to make sure that I say it the right way. So yes, this is episode season 2, episode number 1. And this is the show, again, where I talk with real wives just like you about how they make marriage work. And this is the new piece I added, by working on themselves. So you all know that I am a life and marriage coach, and I help women create happier, more loving marriages by not making over their husband. It has nothing to do with making over your husband, but really turning that mirror on yourself, looking inward at what you can be doing, how you can be responding differently to make your life better. Happiness is an inside job. And so we're going to be talking a little bit more about that, self-love, self-care, all of those amazing things that we as women need to be paying more attention to, but often don't. But when we do, what amazing results we have, not only in our marriage, but in every area of our life. So that's enough of me talking about what's different about season 2. I am thrilled to introduce you to my guest, Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett. I will let her take the mic now. I'm passing you the mic. You can introduce yourselves to everyone, share where you're from, what you do, and how you've been making your marriage work. So go ahead, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Stephanie Helms Pickett. It is so wonderful to be here with you. Congratulations, Dr. Siobhan, on season 2. And I am from Chicago originally. I'm a South Side girl, just like Lady Michelle. And I have resided in Raleigh, North Carolina for the last 24 years. And my job by day is serving as the director of the Women's Center at Duke University.
Awesome. And well, now you've piqued our interest. Like, what's your job by night?
Yes, my job by night, or what I would say is the thing that really keeps me going, is I love to write. I've been writing since I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. And just like you, just recently released a book called Worshiper in the Workplace. So that is what I do after hours, before the sun comes up. And, you know, probably in the middle of the night, if it hits you, because you wake up the next morning, you're like, dog, I should have written that down. So that's what I enjoy doing as well.
Yeah, I probably have 1,000 notes on my phone from random ideas that I get at all times of the day and night. Okay, so we would love to hear a little bit about your own love story and how you met, came to date, and ultimately marry your husband. Tell us about it.
I would love to. So I was working for the school system, and his name is Charles, was actually working for the school system as well and working in IT, and was assigned to come and do some work on my computer. I tease him in that I think the only thing he did was made the icons larger on my screen. I really didn't see any work that was actually done, although that was helpful because I've been a little eyesight impaired since I was about 4. But he assumed that I was new to the area, so he offered to kind of show me around. I was a little bit intrigued and didn't have the heart to tell him I'd been living here for quite a while, so it wasn't necessary. We started talking on the phone, and probably about 4 months later, we went out on a date and just found it really easy. We laughed a lot, found that we had similar upbringings in terms of having a great love for our families. We each had a child, same age, 8 months apart. So we were able to really connect and talk about parenting and also being a parent probably at about the same time, maybe within a year of each other. And from there, I say he romanced me by bringing sweet potatoes and leaving them on my porch.
Wait, like real sweet potatoes?
Real
like, I thought you were about to say like sweet potato pie or something.
Ma'am, raw. Very large bags of them, leaving them sweet potatoes and roses. So that would be left often at my door. We laugh in my family saying that sweet potato is part of our crest. So we do everything with them. And he found that out about me. And we just spent a lot of time laughing, enjoying each other's company, going to a lot of concerts, spending time learning about myself through that interaction. I had actually met him maybe a few years after I had been divorced. So I had been married before and super intimidated about the dating process, and things change, you know, when you get married. If you talk to friends that are single, you're like, what's going on? Like,
what's going on in the world?
You don't have any idea necessarily how to navigate that. But that's how we started. And I was also in school, in graduate school. He was a big supporter of helping me through that. As you know, that's a very difficult time, and you question yourself daily as to why you're there. So
pretty much.
That's how we started. Yes.
Why did I sign up for this? Yes.
Exactly.
As well as entrepreneurship some days too.
Come on.
But it's not, you know what I've had to learn in all of this, it's like, it's not about me. It's not about me at all.
At all.
And along those same lines, right? What would you say as you think about this experience of now being married, particularly coming, you know, this being a second marriage for you, in what ways would you say that maybe you've had to grow individually, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I married the first time, I was very young and had no understanding about marriage at all. I mean, even things like him going out with the friends and not understanding that we needed time apart. He needed to be able to have some connection with his boys and just, you know, going to watch the game. My thought, because we also were very young parents, was thinking, when you get off of work, you need to come here and we need to start. And like, you need to
already.
Right. I have assignments. I have a list of things that you need to do. Number one, I just need to go and take the shower by myself uninterrupted, not moving a high chair inside of the bathroom and peeking out of the shower curtain to make sure, you know, the daughter is okay.
You have lived my life. You have lived my life. You have those are down seat instead of the high chair, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it was just really not understanding that I could still be Stephanie, that I didn't have to just have an identity that was totally cloaked in being married. So the second time around, being a little bit older and going in intentionally saying, I understand that I am to be yoked. That is what I believe, but I've got to have a sense of who I am, and I've got to enable space and extension for him to have a sense of who he is, and not try to overcrowd one another and think that if anything, it makes it better. When I go out and can have a good time with my girlfriends or just have a good time with myself, and he can do that as well, then when we come together, we're more appreciative and you have more things to talk about as well.
Yes. It's so true. It's so true. So tell us, I guess, a little bit about how you have been able to sort of maintain your own identity, a little bit of independence so that you can refresh yourself outside of being, you know, in the home married with the kids. What are some of the things that you find really helpful for you personally?
I took up running about 2 years ago, and I run with a group called Black Girls Run. They have it all over the country.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah,
not a member.
Not a member. Come on. I started with them maybe about 2 years ago, and they serve as great accountability. So not only am I exercising, I get to talk with other people. Many of the women are married, some are not, some are working, some are retired. I mean, all different phases of life to understand myself as a woman that's growing and maturing. So there's a lot of wisdom sharing there going on. I also volunteer. I teach liturgical dance inside of a women's correctional facility here. That gives me great joy. I go in and I leave with much more than I think I'll ever be able to give, just a deep appreciation for women that really operate as free as even some of us that are on the outside, even though they're in prison.
Oh,
and I also, yeah, it's super powerful. And I have an opportunity to serve as a coordinator for our dance ministry at our church here. So that takes a lot of time and energy. And of course, the writing and, I stay busy.
Yeah. So you stay busy. And how do you balance it all? Because I know one of the things that, you know, we as women, we put on this like Superwoman or Wonder Woman cape, and, you know, we do have all these priorities, right? So there's still the roles and the things you have to do as mom and wife and professional. And then you want to explore these other aspects of your life that bring you joy, that bring you fulfillment. I find personally that it's always a juggling act. Like there's never, you know, you can't hold all the balls in the hands at the same time as much as you try. So what has worked for you, I guess, in terms of being able to juggle, being able to prioritize? Like, how do you manage all of that? Because that sounds like a lot.
It's a lot. I would agree. And I completely endorse that we can't do it all and we can't have all the balls, because something's going to fall and something's going to break and crack and roll and bounce and all of the
and
above.
Knock you back in the head on the way down.
Come on. And you look crazy,
yes.
right?
Yes,
so I think it's deploying energy at different times. There's certain seasons that I give a little bit more to something in particular, and then times where I have to pull back on something. And that's hard because when you feel a sense of passion and commitment, you know, you don't want to not do it. You want to be able to do as much as you can. My health has to become my priority. So exercising has to be in there some kind of form of way. If not, I can tell how I'm responding as to whether or not I have been exercising or connected or spending time meditating or in prayer. I'm real short. I'm short with my husband. I'm short with my coworkers. I'm short with myself, my children. I know and can feel. And if I've gotten to that point, then I haven't done the right work, because it's gotten to a point that somebody has been impacted by my inability to take care of myself.
Yeah.
I've also had to make some intentional decisions to try to step back from some things. And that's been hard. I go to a coach. I have been going to the same life coach, similar to some of the work that you do. And he suggested to me a couple years ago, instead of saying no, can you say, no, not right now?
Not right now.
And I was like, what? I can do that? He said, yeah, because you're not going to say no just yet. We're still growing you with that. But if you say not right now, you're giving yourself space to say, maybe I can come back and revisit that later. But at this time, I can't fit that on my plate, because it is not, I'm not going to be able to be efficient with it. I won't be able to be effective. And then someone is not receiving what it is that they need as a result of it. So that's a hard call, right? You got to be honest with yourself. I have to be honest with myself and know when I've overextended myself a bit too much. And
so, absolutely.
I'm learning it.
Yes, it is not easy. For those of you who are watching us live, thank you so much for joining. Why don't you share this broadcast? Because you never know who might need to hear that they can actually say, no, not right now.
Come on.
That is really liberating. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was this question around expectations in marriage, right? So a lot of times when I come across women, when I talk with people, even when I think about when I first entered marriage, that we come to the table expecting that, you know, our spouse in this life together will bring us happiness, that our husband's role is to meet our needs. And, you know, we can all remember that Jerry Maguire quote, like, you complete me.
You complete me.
You complete me. Like, we're all like teary and like all dramatic with it, wanting that, you know, pomp and circumstance of romance that the mundane day-to-day does not look like at all. But to this notion, right, we still buy into it. As women, I feel like a lot of people still buy into it. And I'm like trying to buy myself out of it and trying to help other women do it as well. But what are your suggestions, right? Because I think on an intellectual level, we all know that, you know, another human being is never going to truly be able to meet all of our needs. That's an unfair expectation for them. That's an unfair expectation even for ourselves. So our goal, right, should be wholeness and completeness within ourselves. And that's a lot of the work that I try to help women do. What would you say, you know, are some of your suggestions for someone who's in a situation in their marriage or feeling like, you know, their husband isn't meeting their needs? Like, what would you say or suggest to someone to help them begin to, you know, be complete within themselves?
Absolutely. I think you started the thread beautifully. You have to start within. So the times when I've been really frustrated, I had to revisit, why is that? So I grew up in a single parent household. My father passed away when I was 4 years old. My uncles played beautiful demonstrations of fatherhood, of manhood for me. But in terms of that day to day, I didn't have that. So I had a very much creative fairy tale expectation of what marriage was supposed to be like. And even though I was married and divorced one time, I still carried some of that baggage into the next time because I thought, well, that just was the wrong person. Obviously, it's going to happen with this one. They just did not know what to expect and how to treat me and how to be. And it's such a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of baloney. Some days I'm giving it and I'm going really hard. And some days I don't feel like doing it. And I can be really stubborn about it. And what I have learned about myself through marriage, and this came specifically from my husband, in that he talked to me about having a really difficult time with resolve. So I can have something happen and I'm mad. I'm just going to be mad. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to poke my lip out like I did when I was 7 years old. And I'm going to, you know, what's wrong? The classic, what do we say? Nothing. It's so loaded. I mean, it's like
a little neck roll.
Yes. You know, this date, this time, what your resting heartbeat was.
It's so something.
Go through all of that. And it had to come back into me. What's going on with me? What am I dealing with? What have I suppressed? What have I not resolved? How can I revisit that? Because whether he's there or not, whether things are good or bad, I still have to live inside of this body and deal with who Stephanie is. Stephanie that existed, Stephanie that is challenged to grow, Stephanie that still has some work to do. And so working on me, bridling this tongue, which has always been really sassy and knows exactly what to say to cut and hurt and go deep. And then because of my relationship with God, then I feel bad, right? So I can't even cut you and feel good about it. After I do it, then I'm repenting and I'm upset and I feel horrible because I realize, how can I do something to you and hold something against you when God is forever forgiving me, even for the thoughts that come into my head, let alone the action. And I guess I move better toward that as I mature, as I hold my tongue. Your book, shameless plug here, has been amazing to me.
Thank you.
I shared with you that I was going to start using it as a devotional, and it has really blessed me.
Thank you.
In terms of me really working through my thoughts and being very intentional about being positive about things that I am concerned about or where I have shortcomings. So if he's working more hours than I would like, and really stop before I say that, let me hold that, because sometimes the very next day, maybe like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I listened to what you said and I'm off for the rest of the week at night. And I'm like, thank God I didn't say anything about it. Because he might be like, peace out, like I'm out.
Yep, exactly.
I'd rather go someplace that I don't have to hear you say that. And thinking about the grace that he may extend to me because I'm working and I'm sitting with my laptop and doing things. Just because my work plays out differently, it doesn't mean that I should get extra kudos for it in comparison to him. So this tongue and listening more here, your book, Voices, and your ear, what are the things that I'm depositing even within myself? And how can that feed me either positively and come out in my marriage, or how can I speak and pronounce death over it just because of what I'm thinking or what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Sharnetta's here saying you're stepping on her toes with that one. I'm sure she can relate, right? It's common. It's so common. So common. And so you mentioned some of the things that you do. You mentioned, the relationship with God. You mentioned using my book as a devotional, and I know that you're reading a lot of other things. You've even mentioned, having your own personal life coach. What would you say, for the wife who is maybe in a place of struggle in her marriage right now, and it's not working, right? This is the Made Marriage Show, and maybe she's feeling like her marriage is not working. What is maybe just like one healthy practice or one thing you recommend that she really start doing for herself to just be able to exist and endure some of those inevitable seasons in a marriage?
I would, and I have, reached out to someone who I did not necessarily believe had a perfect marriage, because that doesn't exist, but someone that could be prayerful with me, someone that could listen to me, that could affirm me, that could challenge me. I have several women like that in my life that I say are more seasoned along this journey, who poured into me in some of the darkest times of my marriage, of feeling like, just like you're saying, like I'm done, I'm out. Maybe this is for me. And you start to call in all of the negativity and deposit it right in your life. So that's not helpful either. It's not going to make it necessarily better. But there are people that are around us, not necessarily the people that are the first to speak. It may be people that you notice are being really observant, and they operate with a quiet strength, and they operate through faith. And that is the basis that I have to go to in terms of being able to stay put, stay pressed, stay connected. And so I think those individuals exist, and they don't cost you anything, and they'll care for you, and they'll support you, and wrap their arms around you and clothe you in the word, and serve as accountability for you as well. They're not the ones that will say, well, you just need to leave them because this is what I did, or you don't have to live like this. But they have a spirit that is deliberately stubborn about saying, we're going to make this work. We're going to make it work at all costs. Now, certainly if you're in an abusive situation, that's a whole different set of steps to be able to take. But it is difficulty in terms of maybe it's finances, maybe it's infidelity, maybe it's trust, maybe it's, health issues, any of those things that are going on. I believe that all of those things are covered under the covenant that God set forth in marriage. And so it may not be immediate, and you may not see the resolve quickly, but I think through that we see ourselves shedding and being able to put ourselves in a place of at least believing again that this is possible to be able to work, and not just simply saying, you know what, I'm washing my hands and I'm throwing in the towel for it. My dog is turning around if you saw her tail.
Oh,
but but it's a tough space, but it's a necessary space. And I have not spoken with anybody that has been married that has not shared that maybe that happened early on in their marriage, and sometimes it happens later. I can remember when I was having a tough time in mine, and one of the individuals that I'm speaking of said, well, would you rather have dealt with this 20 years in, or would you rather deal with this 5 years in, 10 years? Pick your poison. You know, whenever it happens, you have to go ahead and deal with it, but you can't look at it and say, well, this shouldn't happen because I've been in this marriage X amount of time.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting perspective. So it's awesome that you've been able to surround yourself with wise counsel. That's exactly what it sounds like. And I think one of the other guests from season 1 mentioned similarly, really just seeking wise counsel. And I think, you know, picking up on one of the points you mentioned in terms of believing again, right? And I think one of the questions I always like to ask people, you know, because it's very easy to say, like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, I'm out, like, enough of this. Like, I can do better on my own. It's very easy to adopt that attitude, mindset, perception, mentality. But I always like to ask this question, like, if you knew, right, that things would get better, if you knew that you could have, you know, an amazing relationship with each other, would you say, right? Because I think they give up the belief. They just see the barrier, right? They see the problem, they see the challenge, and they don't see, you know, the God that can actually heal anything in marriage. And I love that you mentioned, you know, those particular issues: finances, infidelity, health issues, trust issues, even just communication issues. A lot of times those are still covered under the covenant. Like that, those are not, you know, automatic.
He didn't pick it out. It's the same God. You think about the same belief that we have when we have determined, perhaps maybe we've not told anybody, that I think I really want to marry this person. Like, I could see myself with this person. I could see God blessing this union. There's a hope there that the extension, the proposal, the invitation to share life is going to come. And somehow when we get that, we move over the hump. And when we have storm happen, we don't see that same God, that there's the potential that it can change, that it can come in terms of what you want. It's the same God. We're the same individuals. Perhaps we've grown and changed, but the same belief that we had that we could spend this lifetime with the person is the same belief that we have to hold on to when we are pressed and concerned as to whether or not we can make it through whatever it is that we're enduring.
Absolutely. Very powerful. Let me ask you this question. So for those of you who are watching us live, we're going to get to how long you think Stephanie has been married. So go ahead and start putting your answers into the comment box. There's a little bit of a delay, so we're going to check those in a second. So go ahead and tell us how long you think she's been married. And in the meantime, while they're doing that, I'll ask you, Stephanie, what do you feel is maybe like 1 or 2 things that people never really tell you about marriage, but that you have to sort of inevitably figure out on your own?
Besides that they may snore and you lose some sleep, I don't think that they tell you that it's going to take every part of your being to make this thing constant. You have come together with somebody else, with somebody else's DNA. They don't unfold that. You see them out, you see them moving about, and you just think like it just fits. We have no idea that it takes a whole lot of energy. We laugh about the energy that we expend in preparation of the big day. That ain't nothing. Like you're slammed. By the time you hear brides say when they get, I'm just be so glad when this wedding is over, because they put so much energy and time into making sure that everything goes in the way that we dreamt that it would always go. But it's the energy that's after. It takes a lot, and people can show up and it may not show on their face, but I just really want to know. It's almost like, the iceberg, everything that's below, that's what's holding it up. And we don't get a whole lot of information about everything that's underwater. You just see it up here looking very beautiful and moving, and underneath it's packed, it's tight.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that really goes on both sides, right? So it's very easy. Again, my work is all about looking inward. It's very easy. And I do completely agree. Like when you get married to someone and you really make a life together and you have all these different ways of interacting with each other that are different than maybe when you were dating, that you do get to like see someone completely different. Not that maybe they were pretending to be someone else, but it's just like, you notice all the subtleties and all the peculiarities that maybe you didn't see before, but likewise, they see it for you too, right? I mean, my husband and I were even having a conversation recently where, he was sharing with me this perception that he had of me while we were dating. And we dated for 5 years, and we were, older when we started dating. So we didn't have sort of like that naivete of, an earlier 20-year-old.
Right.
And so, he's like, and he's such a thoughtful person. Like for anybody that knows him, he will think about something, he will analyze it till the cows come home. And so we're having this conversation. He's like, I never thought that you were like that, right? This was an area of weakness for me. And it was fun. Like, it was a fine conversation because it was a truth that I had learned about myself, an area that I'm looking to grow in. And so I didn't take any offense to it at all, but it really highlighted for me, like, you're right. Like, I've been thinking for so long about the ways that maybe I perceived him differently while we were dating versus how I know him more intimately now, but I never flipped it, right? I never flipped that mirror on myself to, okay, who was the Siobhan that I was when we dated? Like, who did I show him, right?
Yes.
Like, was the cleaned up Siobhan, like.
Oh, you were cute all the time, right?
Cute all the time, like home organized, and now we have a 1 and a 3-year-old. And let me just tell you, sometimes our house looks crazy. But whenever he would come visit my apartment when we were dating, guess what? Everything was in place. Like everything was all neat and tidy. And now, exactly. Now I'm like, don't even look in my closet right now. But it's one of those things. I share that with all of you that are watching in full transparency, that it's so easy. I hear women say so much, like, he's changed so much, over time. And yes, people evolve, they change, and maybe, the energy and the effort they had to certain aspects of your relationship, they're not putting forth that energy, and there's not as much excitement over time. True, all of that. But also, it's for you to consider, how have you changed, right? Are you that flexible, that doting, that, affectionate woman that you presented to him when you were dating? And what aspects of your life did you sort of cover up, or what aspects of your weaknesses did you sort of like put some pretty makeup on, or put some other cover up on other aspects of your character and your personality, that now when you're married, like, you're fully exposed. Like, there's no hiding anything, right?
No.
Anything that you need to be growing in, he's going to pick up on it. He's going to be a mirror to reflect it back to you, whether you like it or not, whether you've even noticed it about yourself or not. And that's hard. It's a really hard reality to face when you're not receptive to it, when you haven't done the work and been reflective on your own to realize that there are things that you need to change, or areas that you need to grow, and areas that God needs to mature you in.
Oh,
and
stepping on more toes now.
I know. I'm just, listen,
that's real.
Talking to myself just as much. I'm talking to myself just as much, because I'm in that phase too, where, I think we all reach a point in our lives where we just really begin to look at ourselves differently. And we really just want to get it right. We're tired of like the old stuff, and we're like, you know what? Like, I need to get it right. And sometimes when our spouse is the person we love the most, the person we want to admire us and hold us in such high esteem, when they call our bluff, when they see our messiness, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to receive that from them. But when you can, right, it's a wonderful opportunity for you to grow, because God sent them to you for a reason.
Absolutely.
So that, I feel like I went on a tangent to a whole
no, that was completely good. That was good. That was good. I think about the other night, I was telling Charles, I said I fell asleep on the end of the program, and he said, "Oh, just like you always do." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." Like, you notice that that's small. It's a small snippet of what you're saying, but I'm like, you notice that I do. That's something. Then I was like, that's small. What are the other things that you notice and that you just haven't said anything? Because you may be a little less quick to say it about me, as opposed to me, that I could be like, all right, on this date, this time, this is what happened.
Receipts.
Come on. Receipts.
Lots of receipts. Okay, so we do have some guesses for how long you've been married. We have 8 years, 9 years, 7 years, 8 years. Okay, so Dr. Stephanie, why don't you tell us? I know, like a little. How long have you been making your marriage work?
8 years.
8 years. We got 2 people that got it on the head. Now, when is your anniversary?
It is August 16th.
Okay, so great. You just celebrated.
And funny, because we laugh about 8 years, and then sometimes I'll have the sarcastic, well, it should have been 10, because we were to get married, and 2 weeks before the marriage was scheduled the first time, he asked if we could put it on hold.
Wow. Wait a minute. How did we not talk about that?
I know.
Like, we want that tea. I'm like, let me
I know. We gonna sit up.
Right. Like, let me.
You talk about doing some work.
Oh, I mean, Stephanie, come on. Like, I should have, done my research on you a little bit more and found that out, because we want to know about that, girl, because, like, we're a little bit nosy.
That's right.
How did that happen? How did y'all regroup and make it happen? That is powerful. That's powerful.
We did a lot of work from that. And it took a lot of forgiving, a lot of extension, a lot of realizing how I was just willing to say, we're going to do it, even though there were signs and things along the way that he was trying to say. And I was like, nope, we can overcome that. God, I got a scripture for that. God said this, God said that. And me going in intentionally not listening until it got to the point where he absolutely said it as loud as it could possibly be said. 2 weeks, people in town, deposits paid, honeymoon booked. Yeah, all of that. And it took us quite a while to come back from that. And it was about 2 years after that we actually got married.
Wow. I feel like this is a season 2 clip.
Is that season 2? I get to come back.
Yeah, I'm going to have you come back, like, for sure, because I'm like, I need to hear the rest of that story. And I know if I'm thinking that, everybody else is thinking that. I'm like, what was going on in those 2 years? Like, I got to know what happened. So we will absolutely have you back.
I love it.
We will schedule some time and we will make this happen, because I know people, if you guys want to hear the story, tell me. Yes, that's a new book. That's a new book. For sure it is, Stephanie. I will be picking up that book pre-sale for sure. Oh my gosh, Stephanie. I am just thrilled that we were able to do this, and I am looking forward to part 2. I have to thank my mother, who was like, I feel like my mom was like my PR, she's everything for this business. But she was like, she's always thinking about people that can be on the show. She's like, you have to talk to Stephanie Helms, because she's like, she's just like you. Like, she's this, she's this, she's this. She's like, she would be perfect for the show. I'm like,
your mommy is amazing. Amazing.
I am very, very lucky.
Everything. It's no wonder you stand alone, obviously, on your own 2 feet.
Thank you.
I know she has modeled some really amazing lessons to younger wives. That wisdom, that well is deep.
Yeah, it is. She's saying, yeah, thank you. So, yes, y'all, be on the lookout for part 2. We're going to hear about what happened after he said, I want to hold off on this marriage 2 weeks before. 2 weeks. And they lived to tell the story. And they're married 8 years.
I'm not wearing orange as a result, but I came close to I may have had a little Angela Bassett in me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we will for sure. I will bring y'all that story. Don't you worry. We will be back at some point. Just be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much. This has been a delight for me. I hope it's been helpful for y'all that have been watching. But we've had a fun time. And this is season 2. This is what season 2 is about on the Made Marriage Show. So we are gonna laugh, and we are going to really just share our experiences, and hope that it blesses you, hope that it provides hope for you, that there's some insight, some way of looking at things that you receive from a result of what we share here that really helps you to make your own marriage work. And for those of you who aren't married yet, it's research for that position that you will soon occupy one day. So thank you all for tuning in. If you loved this, if anything was helpful or entertaining or worth hitting that share button on Facebook, I mean, these last few minutes just hearing about that postponement is definitely worth sharing, so that people can get the scoop when we have part 2. Please share it. Please share this broadcast. You never know who might need to hear the message and some of the perspectives that we share on this show. So thank you for tuning in. I will be back with you guys next week with a new guest. Stephanie won't be on next week, but we will definitely get her on as quickly as possible so we can hear part 2 of this story. But join me again next Monday, 9 p.m. right here on the Relatable page for an all-new episode of the Made Marriage Show. Thank you again, Stephanie, so much. Have an incredible evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.